I want to give a special shout out to all my patrons, my Bibliosprand, Bibliohowlers, and Bibliomancers. Thank you so much for supporting my hobby and passion even more. It means so much to me. Hi everyone, Petrik here. Welcome to another episode of SFF Spotlight. And today's video will be SFF Spotlight episode 21. Yes, 21 times now I have made an SFF Spotlight videos. And for those of you who are new to this is a series of videos to give spotlight to new noteworthy release, new special edition, new book announcement, and new cover reveals in the adult science fiction and fantasy genre. So yeah, let's get started. As always, we have about 20 topics to talk about. And the first one is The Last of Us. The Last of Us TV show adaptation has been confirmed for a second season. And the second season will adapt The Last of Us Part 2, which I still haven't finished playing to this day. I love The Last of Us Part 1 very much, but I have mixed feelings regarding The Last of Us Part 2. But I'm really glad about this news though. The 3 episodes that I watched so far have been absolutely incredible. Even though episode 3 deviates quite a lot from the video game, I still think it was done incredibly well. By the time I posted this video, I think I might have watched episode 4. I am so pumped to watch the continuation of the TV show adaptation. And I'm glad that after season 1 is finished, there will be season 2. And I think season 3 as well, because The Last of Us Part 2 is much bigger than The Last of Us Part 1. And for the second topic, it's about a pre-order link. So in my previous SFF Spotlight videos, I spotlighted this new cover reveals of Primal Fury by Noel Traver. This one is a grimdark fantasy debut, and the cover art looks absolutely incredible. The cover art is done by Texo, and some of you have mentioned, please tell us when the pre-order link is up. And well, the pre-order link is up now, and the release date of this book is this year, June 17th. I don't know anything about this book. As far as I know, this is the author's first work, but that cover art is a stealer. I am certainly looking forward to reading this someday. And speaking of pre-order, the next topic is for Defiant by Michael Miller. This is the 3rd book in the Songs of Chaos series, and this will be the next Dragon Rider epic fantasy series I'm going to attempt reading probably within this year, because I have finished reading the Echo Saga, I finished reading Dragon Mage, and I also caught up to the Bound and the Broken series by Ryan Cahill. So the next one will be reading Songs of Chaos by Michael Miller. And the pre-order link for this 3rd book in the series is up now. The release date will be on July 13th of July 2023, so 5 months from now. Judging from the release date, it is very likely that I will dive into the first book, Ascendant, probably in May, and then I will read the second book, Unbound, the next month, and then the next month I will read Defiant. The cover art of Unbound and Defiant are both illustrated by Randy Vargas, and Randy Vargas is an incredible artist. I love the artworks so much, and I look forward to finding out the story behind these cover arts. And now let's talk about new book announcement, and this is from one of my favorite authors, Robert Jackson Bennett. It has been announced that Robert Jackson Bennett will have a new book out in spring 2024. The next 2 books in Robert Jackson Bennett's forthcoming Shadow of the Leviathan series were acquired in a world rights deal at Del Rey. So Del Rey, the publisher behind the Founders trilogy, will be publishing Robert Jackson Bennett's new book as well. The first book in the series, The Tainted Cup, will be released in spring 2024. And the publisher said the series features a brilliant, eccentric detective and her long-suffering assistant. Honestly, I don't need any more description, because it's Robert Jackson Bennett. I will read anything, any science fiction and fantasy book published by him. And now moving on to the next section, let's talk about special edition. And the first one is a reminder that the 5th season, the Curious King edition, is still available. The standard edition is still available to pre-order. This one features cover art and interior artworks by John Anthony DiGiovanni, and right now the lettered and the numbered edition are both sold out. But yeah, the standard edition, which is the only edition that will feature the cover art by John Anthony DiGiovanni, is still available. If you're interested in getting this edition, I suggest getting it as soon as possible, because this will become a super limited and coveted special edition in the future. I have no doubt about it, and I think even though we haven't seen the Blade itself or the 5th season being published on the market yet, every news and clip of the production of the Blade itself have been very positive and very cool. I cannot wait to get my hands on them. And the next special edition announced, The Broken Binding, has announced their second Broken Binding press book. And it will be for 11th Cycle by Kian Ardalan, the first book in the Mistland series. This is a Dark Souls and Berserk Grimdark inspired fantasy book, and I've read and reviewed this one recently. I absolutely love this book. So on top of The Bound and the Broken of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill, the second book by the Broken Binding Press will be 11th Cycle. I've heard some details on this hardcover edition. I do not think this one will live up to the production value of Blood and Fire, but I think it will still look pretty good. I've heard some details on what the Broken Binding will be doing on this special edition, and I definitely approve. I look forward to seeing the results. Hopefully it will live up to my expectation. And now let's talk about Kickstarter projects. So the first one is for Esrahaddon by Michael J. Sullivan. The Kickstarter campaign will begin today. This is the third book in the Rise and Fall trilogy, the conclusion to the Rise and Fall trilogy. For those of you who don't know, the Rise and Fall is a bridge trilogy from Legends of the First Empire to the Rhyria Revelations or the Rhyria Chronicles. So this one takes place after Legends of the First Empire, but before the Rhyria books. I think all of you who have read the Rhyria books will know who Esrahaddon is. Esrahaddon is an important character in the world of Elon, and I look forward to reading this trilogy. I will start reading Noel, the first book in the trilogy, probably in March or April. But yeah, the Kickstarter campaign for the third and final book in the trilogy will start today. If you're looking forward to get yourself a copy of this one, make sure to check out the Kickstarter campaign. And the next one is the release date for the Kickstarter campaign for The King Killing Queen by Shawn Speakman. The Kickstarter campaign for this one will begin on the 14th of March. Yeah, the 14th of March. There hasn't been too many details on this one, but the cover art is done by Magali Villeneuve, and as always, I love every art illustrated by Magali. I think she's one of the best artists in the science fiction and fantasy industry. I mean, just take a look at this cover art. This cover art looks super stunning. And I've read the first chapter, the first draft chapter of The King Killing Queen. That is available in the King Must Fall anthology published by Grimdark magazine. And well, consider myself intrigued. I look forward to seeing the final version of the novel, because I've heard from Shawn Speakman that what I've read in the anthology, the King Must Fall anthology, is basically just a draft version. It is now expanded and edited further, and it is supposedly much better. I look forward to reading the book in its entirety. And the last Kickstarter to talk about today is for the first Ancestor by J.D.L. Rossell. This is the second book in Rangers of the Titan Wild series. The Kickstarter campaign is live now. I haven't read the first book yet, The Last Ranger. The author recently sent a copy to me, and the book looks stunning. It features interior artworks and cover art by Felix Ortiz, and the cover design is done by Sean King. And based on what the author said, this is a Horizon Zero Dawn, the video game. Yeah, the Horizon Zero Dawn inspired epic fantasy series. I am looking forward to reading this someday. I love Horizon Zero Dawn. Hopefully this epic fantasy novel inspired by it will be great as well. And now let's move on to the third out of four section of today's SFF Spotlight video, and it is time to talk about cover reveals. We have a lot of cover reveals to showcase today. The first one is the mass market edition of Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This will be the edition published by Tor Books and Longings, and if I'm not mistaken, this one will not have any interior artworks done by Howard Lyon. No interior artworks. This is the mass market edition. This will be much more affordable than the premium hardcover edition that you can still get on Dragonsteel website. But this is the cover art to the US edition of Tress of the Emerald Sea. The art is done by Carlos Guimera, and personally speaking, I think the premium edition hardcover, the cover art looks so much better than this one. This looks okay. It's not bad, but it's nothing special either. If I see this in a bookstore, it probably won't capture my attention. I do not know whether the UK edition will have a different cover art or not, but it probably will. We'll see. The next one is again for the book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. The US edition, the cover art of the US edition has been revealed, and it is essentially the same cover art as the UK cover art. The exact same cover art, but there is a slight difference in color. Both editions, the cover art are done by Tom Roberts, but the US edition, the color is more orange, while the UK edition is more yellow. So just pick whichever you want. Usually the US edition will be a floppy hardcover, and the UK edition will be a stiff hardcover. I have pre-ordered the UK hardcover because it is cheaper, so I will stick with that one. I look forward to reading this. I own almost every book by Mark Lawrence, and yeah, I hope that this one will be his best book so far. And the next cover reveal to spotlight is for the Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. This is the UK cover reveal with an art done by Corey Brickley, and I love this cover art. I think it is stunning. I haven't read anything by Chloe Gong yet, but the Immortal Longing is supposedly her first adult fantasy book. So this one will be her adult fantasy debut. For this one, I think the story will revolve around a Hunger Games style competition where the people or the participants have the power to body jump. So keeping an eye on your enemies will be a difficult task because their faces are constantly changing. That's all I know based on what the publisher tweeted about it. This is the first book in the Flesh and False God series, and I look forward to reading this someday. I haven't read anything by the author yet. Hopefully, I will love her adult fantasy debut. And the last cover reveal for a traditionally published novel today will be for System Collapse by Martha Wells. This is the newest novel in the Murder Bot series, and once again, the cover art is done by Jamie Jones. And of course, I love everything done by Jamie Jones, and that spider, that huge, I think robotic spider in the cover art looks terrifying to me. I haven't read Murder Bot past the first book, so I still have so many books in the series to read. But I don't think I'll be diving into Murderbot anytime soon. For this one, I will probably wait for the series to be completed first. I mean, I still have so many books and series to read, and unless it is a priority series, I think I will be postponing some series like Murderbot until the series is completed first. And now moving on to self-published fantasy books cover reveal, and the first one is for an omnibus edition by Matthew Wolfe, and this will consist of the first 2 books in the Ronin saga. The title of the omnibus will be called Herald of the Wind. I own every book in the Ronin saga, and I'm really thankful to the author for sending me all the books. It's such a shame that I haven't read anything in the Ronin saga yet. It is one of those series where I'm waiting for the right reading mood to be sparked. Because the hardcover edition, the one that I own for the Ronin saga, all of them looks really good, with beautiful maps and interior artworks, and I hope to get around to it someday. And the next cover reveal will be for Chaos Reason by Mark Holloway. This will be the 3rd book in his first series that begins with Soul Aspect. I've heard many great things about Soul Aspect. I've heard many great things about this series. And Soul Aspect is another book that I hopefully will get around to this year, because this book and this series features alchemy, features alchemists, and it is supposedly a story about a healer turned to a killer. And I think that sounds interesting to me. And it features a coming of age and magic school as well. I think this 3rd book, Chaos Reason, will close the first arc of the entire series. That's all I know anyway. Also, the cover art of each book in the series are all done by the author himself. I think that's really cool. And then the next cover art to Spotlight is for Lord and King by P.L. Stuart. I don't know whether this is the conclusion to the series or not, but this is the 3rd book in the Drowned Kingdom series. I think this one is an epic grimdark fantasy series, and some of my friends have mentioned many great things about this series, especially if I love the scope and world building contained in The Song of Ice and Fire by George R. Martin. I know that the title and the series of Song of Ice and Fire has so often been used as a comparison, but hopefully this one will be one of those rare cases where it actually matches the comparison, hopefully. And we only have 2 more cover reveals to talk about today, and the next one is for The Lightning Prince by James Jakins. This is the 2nd book in the Thunder's War series, and the cover art is done by Randy Vargas. It is one of the most beautiful cover art that I've seen. The cover art for the first book looks great already, but the cover art to the 2nd book top over the first book so much. I love the cover art to this series. I haven't read anything by the author yet, but if I want to start anything by the author, I think I will definitely start from reading this series. I mean, I cannot resist this cover art. Look at those. The cover art done by Randy Vargas are always stunning, and I hope many authors and many publishers will hire Randy Vargas more and more. And the last cover reveal to talk about today is a rebranding, and this is for the book The Sword of Mercy and read by N.C. Koussis. This is the first book in the Sword of Dominion series, and the new cover art is done by Nino Is, the cover artist behind 11th Cycle. I think this cover art is a huge upgrade over the first cover art. I really couldn't tell that this book was supposed to be a grimdark fantasy book based on the first cover art. The first cover art really made it look like this is a YA fantasy series in the tone of Throne of Glass. I'm sorry, but that's really the first impression that I got from the first cover art. And after I saw the second cover art done by Nino Is, I just found out that this is supposed to be a grimdark fantasy series. The cover art to the first book has been redone. It has also received a new editing by Sarah Chorn, which in my opinion is one of the best editors, because I don't think I've read any book edited by her that I dislike. None. I think all of them at least are great. Most of the times amazing, such as Of Darkness and Light and Of War and Ruin by Ryan Cahill. just a few examples. There are so many books that she has edited, and I'm glad that this book is being edited by her. And the new rebranded edition will also feature new map and illustrations done by Sara Ferrari. They are not ready yet though, so I cannot showcase them here. And we have arrived at the final section of today's SFF Spotlight video, and it is to talk about new noteworthy release. I have 3 new noteworthy releases to spotlight today. The first one is the first book in the Mali 2 trilogy, No Heart for a Thief by James Lloyd Dulin. I just got the physical book for this one, the author sent it to me, and so far, based on the few reviews that I've seen, I think reception for this debut novel has been incredibly positive. Many have said that it is intense, it got hard, and the characters are so well realized. The cover art is done by Felix Ortiz, and I think the book will feature the theme of colonialism heavily. The first book is out now, and the second book in the series, I think, is currently planned to be released this year as well, near the end of this year. And the next noteworthy release is for one of my most anticipated books, which is out now. It is Aiduel Sin by Daniel T. Jackson. This is the second book, the second out of 4 books in the Illborn saga series. I love Illborn, and I hope that this one will be even better than Illborn. But based on all the reviews I've heard, I think the majority pretty much agreed that this is even better than Illborn, which sounds crazy to me because I think Illborn was already amazing, and to think that the sequel is even better, well, I will dive into it as soon as possible. And finally, the last noteworthy release and the last topic to talk about today, this will be for 11th Cycle by Kian Ardalan. So yes, I just talked about this book recently on this episode as well. I have been talking about this book plenty of times, and well, this book is out now. If you're a fan of grimdark fantasy, you're a fan of Berserk by Kentaro Miura, and you're a fan of the Dark Souls franchise published by From Software Games, well, you should really take a look into 11th Cycle. I think there is a really good chance you will love this book. I have done a full spoiler-free review for this book. You can check it out on the channel. But other than that, I hope that if you have picked up a copy of this one, I hope that you will love it as much as I did. So that's the end of SFF Spotlight episode 21. As always, do let me know what you think about these topics I just shared with you. I hope the news I spotlight today will prove fruitful to all of you who are watching this right now. So yeah, that's pretty much it from me today. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.